Cool. Should we? I'm not sure how much time we have left, but I would love to have some discussion about religion and
let's go with that as our last topic for today.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And this is not easy to get into, but let me try to start to set something up. And we have the concept of singularity, which basically means at some point in the future, and this is basically from the Terminator, and you can see these kind of movies. At some point in the future, there will be a time where we have a level of intelligence in a system that supersedes that of humans. And we already have that today, but for very narrow tasks. But there will be a time where it basically doesn't really require humans to do that and to develop new skills. So that can be a potential dangerous thing, and that is why Stephen Hawking and Elon Musk and many other people say things like, AI is the last innovation that humans ever will do, and these kind of things. Yes. I don't really want to boast that kind of thinking, but that also, comes a bit into what is really God in that situation. What's your, how do you see a future where perhaps we have machines? We know that machines can play chess much better than humans today, and Go and StarCraft and whatnot. And that is continuing to accelerate in an exponential rate. And how do you connect that to your view of religion and what God is, and how will a computer ever be connected to God in some way?
Yeah, big question. You have to start with the question: what do you mean by God? Is it a God with a big G or a small g?
Yeah.
Is it like something that you relate to as like a force, or is it more like something that's a way of
faith?
Yeah, faith and love and compassion and stuff like that.
Do you think an AI will ever feel love?
No, I think not. I think AI always going to be something different from humans. That's my thought. I don't know. I can be wrong, of course. But I think you have to have that question first. What do you mean by God? And if you mean, as I think about it, that God is like a force of good things and a force of what makes people love each other and not kill each other, or feel happy, or have a meaning. And then if we go back to the question, what happens if the machines take over our way of innovate, and because they do it anyway, and they are so fast, blah, blah, blah. Can you compare it to something that already has happened in the history of men? Have we ever been through a similar change? Perhaps we have.
Yeah. What are you thinking about?
Perhaps when we were introducing books in the medieval.
Right.
Then we have like a very interesting scriptures about now it's the end of human, and now we're going to stop talking to each other. And you can also see that they wanted to regulate how many hours you were supposed to read, and that information overload was a problem. You thought, if you had one book to read. And today we can laugh about that. So my point is, I think that being a human, you will always be curious, because that's what humans is. And you will always have the choice of love or hate, to destroy or create. And if we have more time, if the robots or a machine are doing our stuff, what would we do?
Love or hate?
Love or hate. Yeah. So the question is, how can God, if we think that God is the creation or the way that we create, can God kill himself or itself by us human not relate to that force of love or hate? So that's
big question.
Yeah, that's the funny part of talking about stuff like that. That it's really opens up a window of opportunities. And today we don't really have a way of talking about this big questions and what happens when and what is God or stuff like that in an easier way. I really appreciate you telling me your thoughts, but it's rare.
It is.
Very good question.
I think something in between the line. What I'm thinking is, isn't this been a constant evolution of from medieval times? What is God? You know, what is the higher being? How do we view God and Christianity and stuff like this in the medieval times, etc., etc. So, isn't this also as part of the human evolution so far that are always having faith in something or believing in something is there, but it has evolved over time, and maybe we don't see it, but you clearly see it when we look at the different centuries or the medieval times. So probably there will be a notion of God or faith and all this, but it probably takes new forms that it is hard for us to define now. Like in the medieval times, they wouldn't be able to define like we do today.
No, that's true. And that's also important to set it in different contexts.
Yes.
And throughout the world, you have also a different way of looking at religious questions. And, you know, you have something in the USA that's called the civil religion. And it's like when Barack Obama says, God bless you all. And it's nothing wrong with that or even strange. It's a way of thinking.
Expression.
Yeah, and you relate to it. And you don't ask, which church do you?
Which church should you bless me now?
Yeah, no. But in Swedish, that would be really awkward.
We don't have this language.
In my workplace, my colleagues they're used to me having like religious jokes or something like that, or saying "bless you all" in some way, and they are like moving around and think it's a bit awkward, of course, but I think it's kind of fun.
Yeah. I actually have a lot of questions. So I would love to have more time to discuss about this. I think it's so important thing to do. But I think the time is also a bit running up.